We're now going to learn how to find the inverse function. And there are certain steps that we follow here. First things first, you let y equal f of x, then you switch x and y, you then rearrange to make y the subject, and then you equate the new expression to the inverse of f. So these are the steps that we're going to follow to find the inverse function. Let's dive into our first question here, which says find the inverse function of the function f of x is equal to 2x minus 3, and sketch the graph of y is equal to f of x and y is equal to the inverse of f on the one set of axes. Okay, so let's begin with our first step, which is let y equal f of x. So we're going to let y equal f of x. So what that means is that this f of x now, I can say that this is y. So I can rewrite this as y is equal to 2x minus 3. That's my first step done. I then want to switch my x's and y's. So I'm going to put my x here and my y over there. So I swap the position of my x's and y's. I now want to rearrange to make y the subject. So I'm going to plus 3 to both sides, and then I'll divide by 2. So I'm going to get x plus 3 over 2 is equal to y. So I've made y the subject. Then I want to equate the new expression to the inverse of f. So that means I'm going to get the inverse of f is equal to x plus 3 over 2. And it might be a little helpful to think about this in another way. This is the same thing as x on 2 plus 3 on 2. So it's just a straight line, but written in this form, we can immediately see what the y-intercept is going to be. Okay, now let's give this thing a sketch. So let's begin by sketching the inverse. So the inverse is going to have a y-intercept at 3 on 2, so that's 1.5, so that's going to be there. So I'm going to label that as 0, 3 on 2. It's also going to have an x-intercept. Now, to find the x-intercept, you'd let y equal 0, and then after some rearranging, you're going to find that it's going to be right here at negative 3 on 0. I then am going to draw a line through these points. Hopefully I can do this nicely. There we go. Perfect. That is the inverse. I now am going to sketch the original function. So now I'm going to sketch the original function. I clearly have a y-intercept at negative 3, so down here. So this would be 0, negative 3. And what is my x-intercept going to be? Well, it's going to be, after some rearranging, it's going to be 3 on 2, isn't it? So it's going to be 1.5. It's going to be there. So it's going to be 3 on 2, 0. Then I'm going to draw a line through these points. Let's try that again. Nice. Hopefully you have a ruler with you and you can draw these a bit better. But there we go. So that is the original function. Now, what do you notice? What do you notice has happened here? Hopefully you can see that what's happened is that we have reflected the original function across y is equal to x to find the inverse. So this orange line here is y is equal to x. And what we've done is we've just reflected our red line across y is equal to f to find the inverse there. So that's how it works. These are the steps that you follow to find the inverse function. And then we should also be able to visualize it like this as well. Also take note of a few other things. So for instance, do you see here that my x-intercept was negative 3, 0, and then my y-intercept was 0, negative 3. So too over here, the x and y intercepts of the function and the inverse have flipped around. So over here, I have 0, 3 on 2. Here I have 3 on 2, 0. Perfect. So just a nice thing to observe. Hopefully you feel like you've got a good grasp of this question here.